Welcome to the Coast Podcast. I'm Emilie, a virtual assistant agency owner who left Amazon in 2019 to build my dream.
And I'm Whitney, a freelance writer and communications consultant who never felt at home in a cube farm.
We didn't see many people paving their own ways like we decided to, so we created this podcast to talk to others who were brave enough to pick a different path. Creatives, entrepreneurs, people doing their careers and their lives their way.
Join us as we learn from them, get inspired, and show you beautiful paths less traveled.
Not every road leads to the coast, but the ones that do come with a great view. Welcome to the Coast Podcast. I'm Emilie Given, a virtual assistant agency owner that lives in Linwood, Washington, about 20 miles north of Seattle.
And I'm Whitney Popa. I own a communications consultancy that is based in Edmonds, Washington. And we are here with all of our favorite people, interviewing them on their paths less taken. And today we have one of our biggest inspirations, probably the inspiration for this, Lacie and Allison from Bizzy CBD / Do You Have a Minute podcast, who interviewed me like 6 months ago. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I wonder if I could do this too. And then Emilie was like, we should do a podcast. And so here we are. And they are amazing. I will tell you my origin story with them. Emilie will tell them about her experience with their products. We love them so much. Welcome, Lacie and Allison.
Hey, thanks. Woo! I like that intro.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
You guys are major fire. The one thing that I was thinking about when we were leading up to this, I texted Emilie. I was like, okay, my first question is, after all this time talking with you guys, being best friends on Instagram, having happy hour, you guys cheating on me after our happy hour with coming back to Edmonds and not inviting me. I still don't know how you met and became best friends.
Oh, that's a story.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Al, do you want to start? You start with this one.
Okay, so I'm a mental health counselor, right? And it's like it's the best job ever. It's also tricky and tough, and I'm a blabbermouth. I love to talk, so it is the right career for me. But there's another part where you don't really share a whole lot in session. And I thought, it came to me like this idea. It was in 2019, and I was hearing a lot of the same things from clients, and I thought, gosh, that'd be so cool if I could figure out how to, share a little bit like of what's going on in the world as I'm hearing it consistently from people. But then, you can't really break the old HIPAA laws and talk about what you're hearing from your clients in the therapy sessions.
Right.
So I was like, gosh, I don't know. There's something I feel like I need to share. And then I had known Lacie from our book club, and she has 3 sisters. She's one of 4 girls. So I knew she could blab. And she has 3 kids. We're around the same age and we're neighbors. So I was like, okay, check. Like convenience, qualities. She's a kill. She's so fun. And I didn't really know like her very well at all. And so, but I saw her at a book club, and then I sent her a message, and then we kind of went back and forth, and I just called her and I was like, hi, this is Allison, your neighbor. Would you like to come over and maybe we could talk about starting a podcast together? And she was like, I'm freaking in. Like, no hesitation.
Wow.
And so we literally, like, 2 weeks later, Lace, after ordering random shit on Amazon for recording stuff. This was like before there were a lot of podcast people. Like, we didn't really have anyone we even knew that had one. And so we didn't know. We were totally in the dark and trying to find stuff. And so trial and error. And we figured it out. And so that's how we
through lots of help too with your son.
Yeah, what a prodigy.
Yeah, he's my tech genius, except for this morning when he couldn't get me into this session right here. So no dinner for him tonight. You know what I mean?
Are your kids the same age as? No.
No, she has Baylor's 12 now, right?
He's 12.
She's a
Mhm.
12-year-old boy, and then in Lawson will be 6
Yeah,
in
he's almost 6.
October.
Mhm.
And then I have a 9-year-old daughter, almost 7-year-old son. So those two sons are kind of the same age. Then I have a 3.5-year-old son too.
Our kids are the same age, Allison. So I have a 12-year-old boy and then I have a 5-year-old boy. And I'm also one of 4 girls, Lacie.
What?
Mhm.
Oh, what number are you?
3. What about you?
Okay. All right. All right. I'm number 1.
Mm.
Yeah, you are.
It
Ooh.
must be nice.
Right. And my number 3, I always say the same to her. I'm like, you're sitting good. You've got a good spot, number 3. So funny. Grass is always greener. But yeah, there's lots of female energy
That's awesome.
all the
It's
time.
And your dad is like totally tortured.
Mhm.
I make people be my friend too. Like I know you didn't really make her, but I really make people be my friend. So
Yeah, that's one of my best qualities. I think that's something probably all of us have in common is like we can go in and be like, so like, hi, I like you and I don't really know you, so can we be friends? It's very kindergarten playground.
I
We've
was
just
gonna
carried that with
say,
us. Mhm.
yeah, one of my roommates in the sorority, we were moving out to Seattle together. We went to school in Idaho, and she was like, I'm just freaking out. I don't know how we're gonna make friends. And I was like, I don't understand how you even worry about that, first of all. Like, and it was also odd because she's from here. I'm sure you could do a lot of diagnosis on her. But she was like, I just don't know how to make friends. I'm like, you just say, hi, I want to be your friend. Like, I have not graduated from kindergarten at all with
Right.
anybody.
Like, let's go back. I like your backpack and let's be
Yeah,
friends. Like it's that's about
exactly.
as simple as it. I think Lacie, it was like I liked her belt. So that was kind of, right when
I
I was like graduated.
Wow. So
one of my
back
friends
in the belt days.
oh yeah. I I'm really into I guess making introverts be my friend too, because I'm such an extrovert. I'm like, you come here. But I have this friend, Alicia, I met at the hockey rink because my oldest son plays hockey and our babies are 11 days apart. And like, I held him up like an offering. I'm like, look, I have a baby too. Let's be friends. And now she's one of my best friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah. It's hard though for women, right? I think women have a
Yeah.
difficult time with friendships and they change so much. I think that's something as well that, like you can have your childhood friends and you have a high school group, maybe a college group, maybe a career group, and then you have a mom group or whatever it is. It's like definitely depends on the phase you're in. And I think, I don't know, personally, I'm like, I'm not as good of friends as I was with this group. Is there something wrong with me? Did I lose a friend? Or when really it's just lovely to think about collecting all these different relationships and people depending on where you're at in life. And I think that's definitely something with Lacie and I that has been so beautiful and wonderful is this entrepreneurial version as well. That's a new side, I think, for both of us as far as we've gone.
Yeah.
And to become really, really close in that has been so unique and different than any friendship I've ever had.
Oh, absolutely. And just the way that we've grown with our business has been really fascinating. Like our friendship has grown right alongside it. So,
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know my first origin story, like how I even found Bizzy CBD before I went and like scared your husband, Allison?
That's my favorite. No, not. Was it Marissa?
Kind of.
Oh.
So I asked on Edmund's mom's. I was last year during the height of everything anxiety ridden with COVID and being shut in. I was like, okay, this is my time to start investigating CBD. I wanted a tincture. I wanted very little flavor, preferably mint. I wanted my hemp to either be from Washington or Oregon. Most are from Colorado. And so I was in this, and they do a most companies do a really bad job of like helping you figure out dosage. And so I was on this when I get in these modes, and I've started an Instagram highlight called research mode. I go so deep. So I was in this like 48 hour straight research mode of what CBD tincture should get, because I actually was like, I don't want gummies. I want a tincture, because like how much more quickly I thought it absorbed into the body. Um, And then at the last minute, I thought maybe I should ask the Facebook group, Edmund's Moms. They're very helpful. They have a lot of opinions. There's like thousands of them. So I posted about my deep research, all blurry eyed and like, can somebody like recommend if there's a local one? Because nothing I could find was local. And if it was, maybe Oregon, but it was like skunky. You could tell like based on the way they described it, there was no flavor. I wanted a little mint. I wanted a little something.
Yeah, you don't want to taste bong water.
Yeah, so nothing. I couldn't get all my boxes ticked, and I couldn't figure out like of all these tinctures, which one, like what the dosage was. So I asked on Edmund's Moms. Nobody really helped me except one lone comment from a person whose profile pic was very cute. So I trusted her immediately, and she was like, my friends just started like last month this company, Bizzy CBD, check them out. And I was like, I don't want gummies. But Marissa from Postcards to Seattle, who we had interviewed on our second episode, she was also watching because she was also in an anxiety spiral. And so she was like lurking in the comments and like texted me like, oh, I'm seeing all this, like I'm gonna get some of that stuff from Bizzy. And so I was like, okay, I'll have my tincture for the morning and I'll have my Bizzy for dessert. And she and I like talked about our like CBD strategies. And so that's when I submitted my first order to you, and you had the pickup at your house option,
which we didn't know that was an option.
Yeah, and then as we talk about with my son.
No, she messaged us.
It was free.
But you were like, but it was so funny because again, we're so new. We were so brand new, and on the website it had said we didn't know there was like all these different boxes you could check, and so we thought yes, shipping, but we also had the box check that said or pickup local. So, but then at the same time, I was like, well, damn, like if she wants to come get it, like she can come over. That's fine. Yeah. Like maybe we'll make a new friend.
So I loaded up my kids and I went on a drug run. Yeah, and then your husband was out in the yard and he was like, oh, like he wasn't expecting me. He was like, well, my wife is showering. Let me go get the like pink package. And he brought it out to me and I rolled out feeling really good, about my future.
Yeah. I have to say too, Whitney, you are someone who like, you really do, I think help the CBD for moms cause, because that is it's such this funny thing that we've encountered. Like people don't really know what it is. Like just listening to you talk about a tincture and where the CBD comes from, like you're more sort of, I think you sound very educated. Like, what you're talking about with the CBD. How did you get into it? Like for our own market research, how did you find out about CBD?
I actually was like years ago when it became a thing. So I don't know why I always want to have like, Allison, let me unload my whole childhood history with you. So I was not allowed to wear hemp necklaces growing up, like from Afterthoughts. Remember that store, Afterthoughts?
Yeah.
And Claire's, like pre-Claire's. We would go there and my mom was like, you can't buy the hemp necklaces. So my mom was the Safe and Drug-Free Schools director for the state of Washington. I watched prevention videos after school every day and to give her feedback. Like that was her little manipulative, like my child will never do drugs or she'll be like, in rehab 700 times based on this experience. So I went like the very straight edge route. And I was not allowed to wear hemp necklaces because they supported the drug lords. So then when we were like walking around Walgreens, I remember being pregnant and seeing CBD everywhere and being like, what is this about? And it's so expensive. And, hemp, I can't have that because drug lords. And then I was reading more about it. And over that last year, it just became more and more, I don't know, visible. Like, I just feel like I'll get like intuitive hits for things. And I just kept hearing about it and seeing it. So I was like, let me investigate. I guess my friends and I did go to Pacific City and have some edibles. And I didn't want that feeling again.
Yeah.
But
those were rough.
It was a lot of fun, I have to say.
Good.
But it was wavy. And I didn't like that. And I didn't
and maybe
like
not an everyday situation.
Yeah, maybe not. So then I was like, okay, what's the lower version of this? And that brought me to investigating deeply on tinctures. And it was like right last year when things were like getting cool, and it was like cool to know about CBD. And I was like, okay, Mom, I'm rebelling. It's not the same thing. There's no THC. It's not supporting the drug lords. Like, let's go.
That's amazing. You were introed to the concept. I think that was a huge reason too. Lacie and I kind of what do we say, Lacie? On the fringe.
Yeah. It's just on the fringe. We're not
Yeah.
like full drug lord, you know, but it is like it's. I mean, well, in the culture where like wine and drinking for moms or young women like is so normalized, like we wanted to normalize the whole CBD route as well, because I think it does get a bad rap.
Yeah. We were the
And
dare against drugs gen, you know,
Yeah.
so dare to keep kids off drugs. So it's like anything, you know, I've said this probably to all of you, but you know, I thought for sure if I smoked weed, then I would be doing heroin the next day. And it is actually, you know, if you have an addictive personality, you know, that was a good kind of heads up. I don't mean to knock like the drug program, because that's totally legit. And it was the only way that I had ever really learned about drugs. But there was, you know, so much like, don't do it. And I think that's tricky when you get into the hemp cannabis kind of world, just because it is plant based, it's medicinal, it's been used for thousands of years. There is some FDA, you know, studies that show that it's incredibly effective for epilepsy, especially in children. But there hasn't been a lot more research done, which gets into, well, what can it do for the average person, or, you know, mom, because it's non-habit forming. And that's a really big deal when we're talking about anything that is a substance that you take for an effect. So that's definitely, I think, something where we want to make sure we get that across to everybody, you know. And the other part of it is, because it is part of that hemp cannabis industry, you know, we always want to highlight that there are definitely thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that are incarcerated for illegal distribution in the past, more of the marijuana route, right? Like as it was, you know, criminalized and illegal in the past. So that's a little different, just because CBD is kind of a separate category, but it is related. And we never want to kind of say like, yeah, we're out here slanging shit, because, you know, people are serving time for something that wasn't so different. But at the same time, it's beautiful and amazing that this plant and this family of plants can come to light in a way that is really helpful. And again, like Lacie was saying, you know, the wine mommy culture. I can't drink wine just for my own health reasons. And so, you know, not that we all need a thing to like check out, but it is cool to have a different alternative option that's also like, again, not habit forming, and you can still fully function as a person.
Yeah.
That's the spiel.
That was a very good spiel, Al.
Hey, thanks. Just as connected to like the whole drug concept. I think it's something we don't really talk about, and it's definitely the first block that people get to when they're learning about CBD. They're not really sure what the difference is. So,
and that's where our whole brand comes in. Like, we're pink, we're very non-threatening. We're powerful pink, but we're still like non-threatening. We're just like you guys. We're just like our customer base. Like, we're ladies who want to MF and chill. That's what we always say.
Yeah. And let's not forget that like the mommy wine culture is actually pretty problematic, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And experience as well. Like, I still haven't graduated from that college Whitney who's like, oh, I get a free keg cup because I'm a girl, so give me the free beer. And then like not always knowing my limits, because I'm like, oh, well, I like everybody else is around me, or it's just a social thing that you do. And I actually joke a lot about how I become much more sober curious in the past, which is a Gen Z term that I learned in Marie Claire after all the Gen Zs were on their bachelorette parties, like exercising and not drinking. And I was like, what is this world where people exercise and don't drink? But to have like, you know, that mommy support that you need, like you need to like take a chill pill basically, and that comes in the form of wine, and it's so cultured into us to like, you know, this is what mommies do, let me bring the wine over. That's, I mean, alcoholism is the hardest, the ism that you die of the easiest, more so than like being a meth addict. And it's a problem. So to have this kind of solution that's actually like helpful. And I was looking for it because my head was so muddy. And then I just became obsessed and in love and moved on quickly from my tinctures to mostly just popping a gummy because it was so much more helpful for me.
Yeah. Emilie, what's your take on the CBDs? Oh.
So I just looked up in my text history, Bizzy, and my friend Christy, who is your friend, Allison.
Yeah, one of my very favorites.
She group texted our PEPS group. So that's how I met Christy, through PEPS. And she said, on March 17th, 2020, my girlfriend just launched a CBD gummies company marketed toward moms. Check her out. And so it was like a group text.
I love her.
And that's the first time that I heard about it. And then Whitney brought it up, and I was like, wait, I've heard of those people. So super cool. Shout out to Christy. She's great.
I love that. And Whitney, who was the chick who wrote in the Edmund's mom? Who was that? Now I'm curious.
I don't remember her name, but she was very cute. I could probably search for the post.
It's just so nice too, right? Again, it just branches into that women supporting women thing that I think, it's just like I don't know. I don't want to get too preachy, but it's like, you can do it, just it's all about going slow and just asking your people to help and talk about it and spread the word and try it,
Yeah, so that's how I heard about it. And also I'm not I'm anti weed because I don't like how it makes me feel, right? Like I don't like the dry mouth. I had a really bad edibles experience too. Like so bad. Nobody told me that you shouldn't eat a whole cookie. Yeah, it was bad.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So yeah, I had the spins and then just really bad dry
hate the
mouth, and I
spins.
just don't like feeling impaired in that way. I also come from I'm adopted, but my birth parents are both substance abuse, both alcoholism. So, I mean, weed isn't for me. So I was like, okay, well, I heard about CBD, wanted to try something that wasn't habit forming, didn't make you feel impaired, but also helped with that like relaxation mode. And so, I mean, I have a really cool story about Bizzy, especially, I think I texted you about this, but so I decided to try it out, and I got one of each kind, the little bit of Bizzy, I think it's called.
Yeah, the variety pack. Yeah.
Yeah, the variety pack. And then I just bought a big pack of all of them, and now I'm buying jars. I'm gonna buy the jars. I really love them, and the Green Queen scared the crap out of me at first. I was like, oh my god.
They're a lot for me. They're a lot.
It's a lot, but like
I named them yesterday GQs.
Oh, cute.
Oh yeah, we call them that too.
The GQs. But then did you try one?
Yes. And so and also my husband has really bad back pain, and he had a day where it was so bad. I was like, take these. And so he took one, and he claims to not. He's like, I don't know if it helped, but I'm like, you're not crying.
They're so annoying. Don't even get me started on them. I'm like, I have all my drugs out all around. I have my lotions, my potions everywhere. And I'm like, hey, Roz, you want some? Every night I'm like taking my CBD or my melatonin or my kava kava, my little things my organic Olivia things I put in waters in the morning. I'm like, you want a little bit? And he's like, nope, all good. I'm like, excuse you, you're the one who gets up in the middle of the night to have to pee, and you wouldn't if you took all my drugs that are like good for you. And I had this funny experience with my grandparents because my grandma's sick, and my mom I was like, oh, I forgot my CBD. My mom brought her Bizzy with her that she ordered back when you had the strawberries. Oh, yeah. And they are hard as rocks.
They're just old.
Yeah, at my grandparents' house in this tiny town, I took one. I like sucked on it to like make it was soft.
It was like a hard candy at that point.
Yeah, it was not good, but it's a hard situation. So I was glad that she had it. Gosh. But like we were all standing around this table, Papa, who's 92, my mom and I, and we're all like, drug junkies at this point, basically, even though my mom was the drug prevention person, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like talking like, oh, my grandma, he's like, I think she has a few more years in her. I'm trying to live to 110. And I was like, Papa, I think we're going to make it, because the people who are pushing the supplements on everybody else, we're the ones who are going to live the longest. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I bet Papa would really like a GQ.
Yeah.
He knows enough already, but
Oh yeah.
I would love to see him on GQ.
And Emily,
Oh,
your husband, he needs Busy Tiger. Which is
I just
our
ordered that for my mother-in-law.
I saw that came out like 2 weeks ago or something. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm super
It's our
stoked
new
about it.
one.
Did you guys see my order come through last night?
I saw it come through last night. I was gonna just bring you some as a thank you for having us on, but you're a
my God,
supporter,
don't.
girl. Thank you. Thank
No,
you. Thank you.
got you.
Aw.
Well, you know, the other interesting thing too, what you're talking about is like these guys who are, it's so funny, like not to stereotype, there are plenty, and we actually have a lovely base of men customers, like shout out to the dudes who know what's up with Bizzy, but this industry, the CBD industry, is super male dominated, which is also really interesting because I feel like, you know, it's, I don't know, like it feels like there's this weird gap in kind of how beneficial it can be, really like specifically for women. And yet there's more and more, almost it seems like every week, you know, women getting into the industry, because I think everyone kind of saw like, well, hold up, you know, but it's definitely something that I think women can really benefit from, but men too. Like it doesn't have to be one way or the other. We just know what works for us, and that's why I think with Bizzy we came in and we were like, this is stupid. We don't want to have to like take some weird thing that has like, I don't really understand what it's going to do for me. We don't want to walk into a pot shop. We just want something that we would buy. And so great. If you share it with your husband, yes. But also, I don't know, it's kind of been fun to just know like we want our friends to try it too, you know, and not feel weird about
It really does work. So I flew for the first time post pandemic, and I think I texted
Mhm.
you this. So it was like I hadn't flown since December 2019, and this was in March of 2021. So it's been almost 2 years. We're going through a global pandemic. I have not seen people. Like I have not been to a stadium. I have not been to an airport. I had not been anywhere. And so, I mean, we weren't like super locked down. Like we went to restaurants and whatever, but I just had not seen that volume of people. So I get through security. I'm fine. I go to the little wine bar. There's a wine bar at the airport. Who knew? It was great. Sorry, I still like wine. I like wine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was a member at that winery.
Yeah.
If you're talking about SeaTac.
Yeah. So, and then I went to my gate, and at that time, I think like 3 flights got out at the same time, and all of a sudden it was like hundreds of people swarming like all around me, and like I almost had an anxiety attack. I was like and like shrunk myself against the wall, and I was like, I'm not okay right now. Like I have not seen this many people in forever, and like that person's not wearing a mask. Like I was just freaking out. And so I was like, oh, I have Bizzy with me. And so I popped 2, and then like took some deep breaths, and I was like, okay, like I'm feeling okay. Like it took a few minutes obviously, but I began to like really monitor my breathing, and like it really chilled me the F out. So which is the whole point. So
Yeah,
it's really
good.
beneficial. Like back pain, anxiety, like it's really like just allowed me to just get through the flight and not think about like contracting COVID like in the airport, because I was like not doing great. So
I mean, obviously, you know, being in the mental health field, I am a huge fan of, you know, psychiatric drugs, you know, pharmaceuticals. They're really helpful to so many people. They are necessary. That is my opinion. And at the same time, there are also alternatives out there. And I think that's something that's been really cool to see is like, you know what? Hey, if you're a Xanax gal and you need one because you're afraid of flying, yes, you do you. But if you don't have access to that, and or you don't want to take one because you don't like how it makes you feel the next day or whatever, you know, try CBD, try the plant-based route and just see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, okay, cool, at least cross it off the list. But I think that that's something that is important to Lacie and I both too, is alternative medicine also has a place. It does. And that's, you know, something that has really fueled our fire and getting feedback from people, hearing just what a difference, just like your story, Emilie, like what a difference it's making just in certain situations or daily.
Right. And it's so accessible. Like the fact that it's so accessible is amazing.
Right. You don't have to get a prescription. You don't have to make an appointment to see your doctor. You don't. Yeah, it is.
I mean, I can't drive to your house anymore to get it, but I probably could if we took this like offline. For me, my analogy that just came to mind of the effects of it, it's like Botox, where like you go into it thinking like I'm gonna feel that I can't feel my forehead, but then you don't. You just like have a smooth forehead, and you're like, oh, wow, now my forehead is smooth, and I like don't feel like I'm not frustrated that I can't move it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I can take that
I just got the Botox, so that's exactly right. It's more about what you don't feel.
I haven't done it yet. I feel like I'm the, you know.
I haven't either. I need to jump on the train though.
Okay, let's do it.
If you listen to Organic Olivia's like 2 episodes back, she has a person on there who teaches you about like facial massage, and her thing is like if you take care of your face right and you use like facial oil and do massages twice a day, you might not even need Botox.
Twice a day.
Well, that ship has sailed. I should have been
like
doing that 10 years ago. So
yeah, I think it depends too on how expressive your face is.
I'm overly expressive. It actually like helps me with my therapy clients because I'm always like, you know, just like making every face you can think of. Chill, Allison. Yeah.
Oh.
I would have a really hard time. Like I have this new therapist who's been amazing. Like so my first when I first got into therapy when my dad was diagnosed with brain cancer, I had this like rock star therapist who she just like kicked my ass every week. And my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he was like, I don't like you after you come out of therapy because I was like so mean. I felt like I had all these action items, like in a good way. Like I was like, you know, like feeling myself because they're like your personal advocates, right? And Janice was just so intensely on my side. And now I have this new one, and she is just you don't expect it. She's kind of like a you know those drinks that are sleepers? She's a sleeper. So she like just asks me these really smart questions, and then I'm like yeah. And so yesterday we were talking about my I have these I'm very triggered by people deciding things for my life and then telling me to be grateful, basically. Oof. Where they're like, I'm going to make this really poor decision that like I'm pretending is on your behalf. And then you have to like navigate your whole world around it to accommodate it. And then you need to like thank me for it later. And it like goes back to my whole like people telling me what to do and me speaking up. And like Lacie actually brought this up to me last week of like, wow, I'm so impressed with you that at 13 you told your volleyball coach you had a boundary around like I don't respond to negative reinforcement. But what I heard my whole life was, and I actually brought that up with this therapist, was I would say that and then I would get ignored. And so then I was like, oh, well, I'm wrong. Or like me. And I go through the world like that through my whole 35 years of people being like, oh, no, we're not going to listen to you. We're not going to respect that. And so I've spent my whole life like shouting to be heard. And then when these things happen, I'm just so immediately triggered. Like even my husband deciding that our kids were going to the zoo with my in-laws, I was just like, you didn't bring me into this conversation. Now I have to like navigate their whole day in my head, and it's going to be such a shit show if it doesn't go this one way, and then it has these long-term repercussions. Why can't you just like consult the person who is going to be dealing with the after effects of this? And so all of these realizations have been super helpful. And then I feel like I have to come home and take a CBD too to like chill out from all this shit that I'm learning about myself, because I feel like people are finding you too through like in this past 2 years living on the edge of our skins. You know, we're realizing so much, we're unlearning so much, we're deconditioning in such a big way that like I think our heads get really muddy for people whose heads they didn't notice would get muddy before. Now they're like, how do I help my head get less muddy? And it's been a saving grace for me, especially like deciding to get back into therapy, even though I have all my moon goddesses, I have like this and that, like just having a place where I can dump all my shit every week. I need that too. Just like you were saying, like there's a place for pharmaceuticals, there's a place for like the talk therapy. Obviously there's a place for you. And like it's such a weird thing for, I think we talked about this too, how like you were more profitable, probably both of your businesses, even though Bizzy like had this weird start and you can't promote it on social media or whatever, are more profitable because of the pandemic and people being so stressed out that you would have been otherwise. It's just kind of like all a mind fuck.
Well, remember too, it's all nervous system related, right? A trigger is really just when we are jumped back and our nervous system reacts. Nervous system talks 90%, brain's 10, so around there. So your nervous system's always chatting up. So when you feel that, you weren't being considered or you weren't being heard, right? Your nervous system's like, what the fuck? Hang on. Now I'm 10, and it goes right back into an old memory, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. It responds like you are 11 years old. And now you're not sure. Your brain and your body are completely disconnected. So, I think that's been the hardest part of the pandemic, at least for me personally, and for many people I've talked to, right, is our sense of safety is all up in the air. So we aren't really sure what is safe or what our sense of safety even really means, and it's changing all the time. And so our nervous system is always in this like hyperactive state, and little tiny things, small things. I was just talking to someone yesterday. I'm like, my cup is full. And when one little drop of something that's difficult drops into it, it doesn't make more space anymore. It fucking overflows. And I am crying all day. I'm, feeling like, what is wrong with me? More and more people I've talked to, I keep trying to blame it on the full moon. I'm like, what is going on? And, my chronic pain is flared up. It's just, I think everyone's really in a spot of feeling really on the edge of being triggered all the time. And that's hard because we don't have a lot of spaces to process that in a way where other people have the space. So therapy absolutely is somewhere where you can go and like, oh, this is my 1 hour. I had therapy yesterday too. And I just looked at my therapist and I was like, hey, I need you to tell me like if I'm actually crazy. And she was like, Allison, you're not actually crazy. You've just been in a pandemic with 2 small children, for almost 2 years. Like, of course. And anyway, so it's nice when there's, not to bring it back to the old Bizzy plug, but there is a direct correlation between CBD and your nervous system. So anything that can help bring your nervous system down and then allow your brain to catch up. Your brain can't ever catch up when it's being overpowered by your body's reaction. So anyway, that's been, I think, a great piece. Like the timing was rough, but also it wasn't what we had planned, of course. But at the same time, I think it's given people something that they can use. It's a resource and given us more of a chance to really test it out and see, okay, we were living in a place where everyone's nervous system is a little bit fried. So try this and see what happens. And that's been really cool to, like I said, hear about how it's helped people. And yay for therapy.
Yeah. Do you find that it is a gateway drug to therapy even? Like for people who are like nervous about like, now I'm taking my Bizzy and I feel so much better. Maybe I should like explore other ways too of like, #wellness.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah. I don't know. I think too that therapy kind of has that same, it can have that same bad rap. Although the young people are getting it, right, Al? Like they're just like, oh, my therapist, you're a therapist. But I think that it's kind of similar to CBD in that it's like, ooh, like, do we talk about it? Or is it something we keep to ourselves, like on the DL? So it's interesting correlation.
Totally. The stigmas around things that are helpful and that sort of are less explored or talked about, depending on who you are, your gender, your socioeconomic status, your race, right? This is different in all of those. Yeah.
Have you guys been keeping like a track kind of just anecdotally of your customer base? Like, does it skew like white cis women?
Moms mostly. Yep. White cis women, moms. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, we were just talking about it this morning in our little marketing meeting, and it's like there's, I would say, Lace, probably 85% are white cis women who, and I would say of those 99% are moms, like
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it's definitely interesting. But like we said, like that's us. Like we made this for people like us. It's good for anybody, honestly. But I think there was just this kind of missing spot in the market. And we were like, hold up. Like, we want to talk about therapy. We want to talk about wellness. We want to talk about balance and friendships and chilling out and being overwhelmed by our children and feeling like we should be grateful, but we're also kind of in the pits or the dumps sometimes. And, there's a lot. I think there's a lot of shame and random things that come up in this phase of life. And you don't have to be a parent to experience that. But I don't know. I think that as well as the timing and all of this, like, Bizzy has helped my mental health, not just the gummies, but just running a business with the best friend. I think that's been the most fun thing of all of this entire pandemic, is being able to bullshit with Lacie and be creative, like, hands down. Lacie's responsible for all of the verbiage and the any kind of copy, any kind of sass, any kind of design. That's all from Lacie's brain. And seeing that from a friend who you respect and watching her brain work in that way so intimately has been just wild. So wild.
And I could say the same for you, Al, because I don't know how you do all the other things. I'm like, you're very organized and you're a go-get. She's a go-getter. Allison's the caretaker of Bizzy's. We always say she's Bizzy's caretaker. She takes care of her. And I'm like, how do you keep everything? How do you know? How do you know what's going on? How do you anticipate? And she's also Bizzy's biggest hype girl. Like, Allison can see like the dream. She's like, oh yeah, this is no problem. We can do that. That's no problem. We're gonna do it. And I'm like, are we though? I don't know. So I think that has been really cool too. Is just like we have grown closer through the business, through our podcast too. But we bring such different things to the table. And Allison's brother, who's our third business partner, brings something totally different. And we kind of lucked out that way, that we were able to each have something kind of special and different to bring.
Totally balanced. That's been really
And you
fun.
guys were doing the podcast. I had it backwards in my head. So you were doing the podcast and then you were like, okay, let's graduate and do more. And it's going to be busy because your brother had all this experience too.
Yeah, he was farming. Like, he had a full CBD farm on Whitby where we grew up. And so I was learning as we were just, kind of just bullshitting as siblings. He was like, oh my gosh, the state came out and they had to check all of my flowers so that it was below 0.3% dry weight THC, and, kind of talking about it. And the more I was listening to him, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what? And then I had thought that CBD was the same as an edible, and then, there was just so much like gray area that I didn't understand. And he was just spouting off all this science, really. And so Lacie and I were like, let's just have you on the podcast. Also, we were just starting out, so he was a really safe guest. And, he was living here and came over to the basement. We recorded. And as we just were talking with him and listening to how incredible and just like beautiful the industry really is, and the farming and the way that the plant is, we were like, what the hell? We want to try it. And then we couldn't really find anything that we liked. And so that was how it came about. My brother and I, we're 9 years apart, and we grew up in a totally chaotic childhood. So, we're hustlers just by kind of the way we were raised and working since we were young and doing everything we could. So we definitely have a lot of big ideas, and we have a lot of like, let's go, 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 go. So that was no problem. We talked about it once. We're like, this seems right. Yep, let's start a business. Okay, cool. Lacie was like, hey guys, okay. So like, and really was the one who I feel like, Lacie, you totally kind of executed. Like, you took it and you're like, let's have a logo though. Yeah. let's do some name games, and what are we doing? And so it was just beautiful timing. So serendipitous.
What'd you get your degree in, Lacie?
I'm a PR English major. So I don't have any design or graphic design background. I just like figured it out. I self-taught because my English degree is just like so beneficial.
Oh my God. I love my English degree though. I
You
love
use
it.
yours all the time.
I do. But
I mean, I'd use it, but I like I like telling people I'm an English major because I feel like that explains who I am, like at my core. But I don't know. I just feel like it would have been nice to have a graphic design course or two. That's cool.
The programs we used back then, though, I don't know, maybe they would help people. I remember the marketing kids. They were always so tired and whiny. And now I do a lot of what they do, but I didn't have to go through all the drama to get there.
There you go.
I was like, I just want to be good at telling stories. And actually working in social media has made me so much more concise in how I write. So that's been a big benefit of writing for social media.
It's awesome.
Emilie has to drop off soon. But I want her to ask. She has one really pressing question for you, Allison.
Oh my God.
I want to know all about your office shed.
Hey, this is like our first bonding, you and I. I was like sending you pictures and I didn't even know what you looked like.
So I had been really like sketching my perfect she shed office for months. And my husband was like, no, we're not going to do that. And then I was like, then the pandemic happened. And then, I had sales calls. I own a virtual assistant agency. So we're on sales calls and my 12-year-old started playing Jingle Bells on the trombone.
Ew, those are like two things that are that's like double awful.
Yes. And so luckily the guys started cracking up, but some people might not be like that. And dogs barking in the background, and he's like, okay, I'll build you an office shed. And I was like, okay, great. And so I saw your stories and I think I'm like, oh my God, show me that. And I'm like, not to sound creepy, I've never really talked to you, but can you send me pictures of your shed? And so I showed them to my husband and I was like, this is what she did, this is what she said. And he's like, okay, pick out a kit. And so we did. And he's got the foundation built right now. And so we ran the electrical to it. Yeah, we're on our way. So I have a branding shoot paid for. It's not booked yet, but ready. And then she's like, let's just do it in the shed when you get it done. And so yeah, I'm super excited to do it. So
yay!
Oh, I mean, this little space out here is, and I think I can speak for Lacie. It's hers as well, maybe. Yes, Lace.
It is.
You can walk to it from your house.
I can't walk to it, but I can certainly drive and go to it.
Yeah,
but she can. Are you talking about Allison? Allison,
yeah,
yes.
No, yes. I was asking you if your neighbor's in that level, you could walk down the street to it.
I mean, I could walk, but I don't sport, number one. And number two, it's a long walk.
Yeah. But whenever we need to get anything done, or if we just need to have a real conversation and just talk about whatever is going on in our lives and we just need privacy. I mean, the amount of value that privacy, I mean, there is, I can't even express. And just having one place that I can decorate in my weird kind of chaotic way. And I had it's I'm starting to see clients out here in real life, face to face. And my son was in here and he was like, yeah, ma'am, you got a lot of stuff going on over here in this corner. Maybe we should take a couple things down. I was like, damn it, I think you're right. Having some fresh eyes, because it's just all my favorite things in one place. And it's just so cozy. I'm so excited for you. What size did you go with?
10 by 16, I think.
Ooh, very good. Very good.
Very good. You're the expert now, Al.
I wish I had that size, because just a little bit longer, you'd be able to do a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm super excited. A little bit longer, you'll be able to do a little bit more.
Yeah. That's it.
Quotes to live by.
Just got it. Yeah.
Meet Emilie.
That's what she said, right?
Subtle. Yeah, exactly. I love it.
So yeah, I'm super excited. I especially love your wallpaper. She has, what is it, flamingo?
It's pink flamingos. Yeah, it's just wallpaper over here. I know, it's so fun.
She's showing us right now. It's beautiful.
So fun.
Also, I don't know any therapist that's uncluttered. Every therapy office I've been in is very much an output of their brain.
Yeah. Yes, I do think I could like probably get rid of like for example, I mean, it's just every surface has like quite a few things
That
on
looks like
it,
an
but
altar.
I mean, it kind of is on top of my pink refrigerator. It's my altar, so
Yeah,
it's
I
fine.
can't show you mine, but I have one too.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know if anyone has a problem with it. But anyway, but I'm so excited. I can't wait to see pictures.
Yes, I'm dropping off. Whitney's going to be closing of this episode, and I would like to schedule happy hour with us.
Okay.
Oh,
So
great.
let's make that happen.
Great. Can't wait.
I'm okay. Great. Bye, you guys.
Bye, Emilie.
Where do you think she has to go?
I don't know. She's like working and shit. So as you guys saw, I had a big order yesterday for some of your new, like your Tiger Balm and then the roller ball. I'm not going to be using those on myself because my mother-in-law, she has a lot of hip pain, so I'm giving them to her for her birthday, and I'm really excited. She's used a lot of your Bizzy stuff, but it made me
Nice.
wonder what can you share as far as like next things coming for Bizzy, exciting moves, the vision. What do you want people to know? We have all the time you need.
Well, we do have subscriptions coming, which I think will be really cool for us and for our customers who take our gummies on a regular basis. So it's sort of like a click and stop thinking about it thing. So we're excited about that. Lots of people have been asking about that. So it's been a journey, but we're almost there.
Dude, we have a subscription curse for real. It has been so hard. The things you think
It
are going to
really
be
has.
simple in business, and they're just a real beast, a real bitch. So anyway, they're coming. We can't wait. We're going to celebrate.
I saw that on your
Absolutely.
website. I could have subscribed already, I think.
Yeah, it's going. Anyway. It doesn't matter. It's such a long story. I feel like it's such a long story. We could say that for anything and everything.
I know. I know.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god. Yeah, you think it's easy. Nope. But yeah, that's going to be a huge piece, is just kind of getting people. Now we have enough people who really get it, they love it, they order all the time, and so to make it really simple, that's something that I think all of us are looking forward to. But I think we're going to probably like just sort of marinate in where we are right now. All of our products are so like well known in quality and getting such great review. It's like, let's just sit here and let it kind of grow. That's our real big goal, is just helping Bizzy spread her wings a bit more and get to the peoples.
Yeah, that is a goal of ours. And to figure out how, like you mentioned earlier, the no marketing on social media, that's tricky. It's a tricky one because really
Meaning no paid
busy.
ads, right?
No paid ads on social media. So really when people get their hands on Bizzy, then our job is done. Like when people see it and hold it and they're like, this is so cute, it's pink, this is so fun, then we're like, all right, these people, they're coming back. We have a lot of salon customers who sell our products in salons, and that has been really great. Just like word of mouth, us ladies, we like to gab. So when we love something, we like to share it. And so we've really just been relying on word of mouth from people who love
Imagine
it.
if they gave a taste. So I have like my hairstylist used to let me just sit with his crystals. I would hold his crystals because I would always, they're like therapists too. I'm just like, let me unload all my shit since I last saw you. And so I would sit with his crystals and they would calm me. But that would be cool if you could just like, I've watched enough Breaking Bad to know that like the first taste is free.
Yeah,
And
right,
you could
exactly.
just like hand them out. Tell your people like keep one bag and give them out to people, and then they will buy.
Right. I mean, we're having the event with lovely Danica from Green Door Sound Bath. And everybody gets a free taste when they come in. It's like, pick your gummy. So that's
I'll
something.
be there early.
Yeah. Yeah, like just getting it into people's hands. But there's been so much education. I think that's another thing Lacie and I are going to really tackle in the next bit, is trying to do a few more videos and trying to educate people on what CBD really is. And what is it? Is a compound found in what plant? Is there THC? What's the deal? Full spectrum, broad spectrum. how does the topical even get into your body? What does it do and where does it go? Stuff like that is really important for people to understand, because I think once they get it, then that barrier is totally down. And so the education piece is going to be huge. We actually have a little website coming up the next month. It's just the Bizzy education link and site. So that's going to be another thing we're working on to make sure everybody knows what's up.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's something that Lauren's husband is working on?
No, that's something that we have a lovely guy named Jake. He's our like tech man, since we are like not the most tech. So we finally have someone we've hired who is with us, and it's pretty exciting, and he's so fun and lovely, and he lives in Mexico City, but he's from New Jersey, and we are now finally officially on Slack, which we have never used before, but
like
now
Slack.
we
It
feel
is
very
so
businessy.
cool, and
Yeah.
we feel very cool and young and hip.
Yeah, I'm
We're
in
like, we
multiple
Slack each other.
Slacks, and
Oh,
you
wow.
can. Their app is so nice because I have my 4 workspaces that I'm in, and even hooked up to different emails and everything. I see them all right in my little queue, which is really cool.
Yeah. It's so much more organized. He was trying to get us, but it's like anything new. We're like, we don't know how to do this, and now I'm hooked. I'm into the Slack. But
The old Slackaroo.
the old Slack. Anybody who is listening, it gets a 20% off discount too. So it's Bizzy Coast, and 20% off for anything on Bizzy for any listeners.
Exclusive code. Dun dun dun.
I love that. So I even mentioned on the episode we launched today with Laura Sullivan, I was telling I jokingly have sponsors because we do not have sponsors. So I was like, yeah, this episode brought to you by CBD, because I had taken one that morning, and so this episode also brought to you by CBD.
I love it.
Yes,
and I'll make
absolutely.
sure we have that in the show notes, the code that people can just copy.
Yeah.
And I don't, just like you guys, I'm not techie, so I don't know why we're just on Spotify right now. I don't understand. I just say what we are and what I know. So maybe we'll be on Apple by the time we talk again, which leads me to another question of, so when's season 4 coming of the podcast?
Well, we're doing a pivot. We're doing a little bit of a pivot.
Yeah, we are. We're taking a break from the podcast.
It's been something we've been doing it for 18 months, and it's so great, but we also kind of know that energy that we were really getting, using, is something that we can put maybe somewhere else. So we're probably going to hop on and do a few more like extended Instagram lives with people, and have it be a little bit more of an interactive face-to-face, and let people see us, and kind of maybe even make it a little bit more focused toward Bizzy, and again, that education route. So you're still gonna see us. You're still gonna see us.
Yeah, still get our vibes. You'll still,
we might just be probably on YouTube and on Instagram. So
YouTube.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
We're going. Yeah. And podcasting is a lot. Yeah, it's a lot,
right?
It is, as you know.
Yeah, it's so great though. It's hard to give up the connections and the interaction with people. That's something that's been so incredible.
That was the best part. All the people we met.
We wouldn't know
so
you.
Cool.
Yeah. So
for me, the most exciting thing about this podcast and our concept for it, and we're not discriminating against men, but we're over indexing on women, obviously, because same thing, like we're talking to our target market essentially. And like a lot of it is like going back to what we talked about earlier, where I'm unlearning so much as I've owned my own company, of like, I was always told to be this one way, and that there was this path for me, and it never felt right. And I kept hitting against these walls of like everybody telling me like, this is what you should want, this is what success looks like. And it just never, even as a little girl, I knew that would never work for me, but I tried to conform. And so talking to people who, it's just like validation for me. And I walk out of these conversations just feeling like so affirmed and on the right path of like, wow, I really like, there are people like me, there are people out there thinking differently more and more now. And maybe, the kids, the Gen Zs and all of our kids, they're not gonna know any different. And that's my hope for them, is that like they won't have to be like corporatized or told, you know, asked at Thanksgiving by their uncle, you know, what are you going to do with that degree?
Ugh, right?
Exactly. Oh my
And you can
God.
do lots of things. I mean, that's it too. It's not like I gave up being a mental health counselor. It was just, I also felt like there was a part of me that wasn't able to express my creativity and my connecting skills with people. And so
Yes.
it was like, I was feeling that so much in my soul. And I thought, hold the phone, there's got to be something else. And that's, I think the podcast especially is really near and dear to my heart, because it was just something that really opened every single piece that I had kind of been like, well, I'm a therapist. I don't even get to be a person. I don't get to have a personality. I don't get to share anything. Like, what if a client finds it? And it's like, well, okay, there are forms that, you know, help you protect yourself from that. And also, I can be a fucking person, you know, and I can still express this part of me. And I think, you know, I don't know, Lace, for you, like it's all been scary, but it's like, I don't know, not to talk for you, but whatever, you know, how it's meant to you. But it's been so much of like taking the risk and just believing in yourself and watching what can come if you just keep working at something, you know.
Yeah. And just, I don't know, just like taking that leap of faith too, I think was so huge. Just like, oh my God, well, what if people listen and they think I'm weird, or they think I'm too much, or they think I'm crazy? Well, I don't care. Like and
Yeah.
it did a lot for, it does a lot for your confidence, just to be able to just like let all of that shit go and just dive in. Just go
So
for
we
it.
actually had a pre-podcast meeting with Richard about that. And Richard Taylor, who he's one of the few male exceptions I'll make on this podcast, and you guys had him on yours as well. And
Yeah.
he has been doing his podcast for years at this point. And I like right before we decided to like record our first episode, I had these like crazy thoughts of like, oh my God, like what if people don't like the real me? And do I care about that? And how much do I care? And what does that mean for me? And it was this weird little like crisis I had before. And so we asked him, like, you know, do you go through that, or do you think about that? And it sounds like everybody kind of does, because it's a vulnerable place to be, to
Yeah.
put your thoughts and feelings out into the world.
Yeah, but I think that as we've done this, it's like I have more respect for other people too. Like it, you know, like we may not be someone's cup of tea, but like mad respect for doing it and for trying, and for so much work goes into it. So I think that there's that piece too.
Yeah. And it's not like, you know, it's not like you're getting paid for your podcast, right? It's just this sort of like interesting hobby that is this expression, and it comes with heart and dedication and time. And
Yes.
it's literally the most kind of, I feel like, new creative outlet. Like, it's a type of art. And so again, you know, art is your art may not be something that everybody loves, but again, it's something that is so just kind of the subjective expression. And to feel known and to feel heard and to share your opinions, there's so much value in that. But you know, it's, I think for Lacie and I both, like, we do it for ourselves, like, too, you know. It's just it's such a piece of just growth. It has been for me, so much growth.
Yes, yes, me too.
Yeah.
I'm excited for your future. I have 5 rapid fires.
Ooh, okay.
And they are, you know, really deep. So, what is your coffee order?
Oh, mine. Should I go first or you, Al?
You
Okay.
go first, Lace.
Mine's a 12-ounce mocha with half the chocolate.
That's important, especially at Starbucks. They really overpump that.
Oh, well, I hate Starbucks.
Yeah, I don't go to Starbucks generally, but when I do, and I happen to get like even hot cocoa for my kids, that's usually what I'm spending money on at Starbucks. I have to ask for half.
Yeah, half the chocolate.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like slightly healthier, because what the hell kind of person drinks a mocha every morning? Me? And I know it's like not healthy to like put that much chocolate sauce into my body.
You and my mother-in-law.
Oh, does Suze like a mocha?
Suze drinks a mocha. Suze drinks a chocolate milk with lunch. I mean, it's just,
damn,
she's
girl.
hilarious. kills me. Yeah, I know. I'm an Americano with heavy whipping cream. That's mine.
Oh, are you one of those?
That's
You're a
Jer's
keto.
order too.
Oh,
That's cute.
yeah.
My mom
I
is
like
on a new lifestyle. That sounds kind of keto-y, and it's called Code Red. I guess this lady's like based in Boise, and it's like this whole thing. I've never heard of it, but she's like eating straight up avocados with mayonnaise,
Oh,
like with a spoon, dipping the straight avocado into mayonnaise for like those good fats, and I just want to throw up. I can't even look at an avocado right now.
I can't do it,
I
Mom.
have to live pretty keto just for my health stuff, and but at the same time, my gosh, like it's so hard because it's balance. I'm like, no, I'm not giving up beautiful blueberries. Sorry, but
Beautiful
yeah, I
blueberries.
know. Yeah, no,
There's so many
I won't give 'em up.
misconceptions though too about like those fats. Like there is a lot of
exactly.
benefit. Like my grandfather, Papa, here we are popping our fish oil and our vitamin D and also eating bacon grilled in bacon grease. Like he puts bacon grease in the pan
Oh
to
wow.
make the bacon. Yeah.
To make the bacon. Whitney, what's your coffee order?
Oh yeah, what's yours?
Usually I do a wet cappuccino,
What's that?
which is just a little milkier cappuccino, less dry.
I've never had that.
Yeah, so we used to go on rage coffee walks at the PR firm, and my friends introduced me to a lot of different orders over that time. But I'll also so if I want something that's more heavily coffeed, then I'll do an Americano with room and I add half and half. And depending on where I am, like honey or like half a packet of raw sugar. I don't understand how anybody could put a full packet of sugar into there. I don't like it super sweet. And then if I'm at Starbucks and I have to have a Starbucks, then I'm the most basic bitch and I do 12-ounce caramel macchiato. No substitutions. Yeah.
Okay, so you have a handful of orders. Like
Yeah, you do.
Depending on my mood or like
depending
how
on
warm
my
it
mood,
is
where
out.
I am. If you guys come over to Edmonds and you go to the Red Twig, their vegan bulletproof is so good. A bulletproof coffee that it uses coconut oil and I think hemp milk, and it's like tasty, and like the way it absorbs in your body is really effective too.
Maybe
And
that's what we'll do instead of a happy hour. Go do a little.
That'd be fun.
Tasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they do such an awesome job at the Twig. Their chai teas around like once it starts getting cold are amazing. So
Good to know.
My last only plug for Starbucks, and I'm really only fangirling them lately because I learned on TikTok that they support or they give a lot of money to Planned Parenthood. So I'm like, all right,
really?
You go Starbucks. Yeah. I get their lemonades and they're not over sugared at all. So for the kids, when I have,
that's what I get for Lawson. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're really nice, except those damn paper straws.
I know, they're the worst. I say, don't even give me one. Yeah.
What is each of your first happy memory?
My first happy memory, I think when my little sister was born. Yeah, so I was 2 when she was born, and I remember being so excited to have a baby in the house.
Oh, that's really nice. I wish I could say the same, but I don't remember when my sister was born. I like really don't. I was like just 2. I don't know. I feel like my very first happy memory is learning how to play Do a Deer on this tiny little piano that I had in my room when I was like, I don't know, probably like 5 or 6 years old. And I just remember, and I also, maybe in kindergarten too, writing a book and having the teacher read it out loud to the class, just little creatives. Yeah. I don't know. That
could
go
either way. Yeah. Thank you.
I think it was same age. Anyway. What was yours?
You guys are so nice about asking me. My first memory, and I don't know if it's like, it's kind of neutral.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, we lived in this house in Wenatchee, which is like a big, beautiful, I remember it, I was 3. So I remember it as being big and beautiful. And it was kind of like a craftsman. And there, we had a Cocker Spaniel dog. And I just remember, like, it's like a moment where I remember bending down in this cupboard we had in the kitchen for me with all my coloring books, and like him being right behind me and me opening up that cupboard to get something out to color with, and just like that feeling of contentedness. So
Yay. It's so
yeah.
cute. We lost Lacie.
We lost Lacie. It looked like she was walking around a club. The lighting was a little blue, and I was like, okay.
I know.
Well, thank you guys.
Well, thank you.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
We love you, Whitney.
I'll see you in the DMs.
Okay, we'll see you there.
This episode's music was provided by Sloan Best.
And editing provided by Kayla Shute.